Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me today is a longtime friend of mine, a woman with a big heart, a woman of service, a woman of God, just a loving individual who is just a thrill and an enjoyment to be around. And she's taken some time out of her busy schedule to be with us today to share a little bit about her journey and what it meant to go through some challenging and some some maybe some difficult times, but she's persevered, she stood firm, she's fought the good fight, and she's here today to share a little bit about that journey with us. So without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Miss Vonda Tyler. Vonda, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, you are welcome. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, before we jump into our segments, I do want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself. You know what you do, where you're from, and anything else that you'd like to share. Just kind of give people a little taste of who Vonda is.
Okay, I am from Indianapolis, born and raised. Always lived here, except for going away to college and little segments here and there. I am the oldest of five children, one deceased. So I have three sisters. Grew up in a two-parent home. Father worked, mother worked on and off, so she was mostly a stay-at-home mom. Did the usual things as a kid, Girl Scouts, overnight trips with friends, spend the night, hang out with my sisters, being oldest sister, hang out with my parents, fishing. Uh, Grew up, went to school, played in band, graduated eventually, and I do mean eventually. Started working, series of different jobs. Currently, I work for a community college. I'm admin. I've been with them 13 years. Prior to being an admin, I worked with veterans. So I did that for like 12, but I'm kind of on the last end of working. So I kind of want to go out a little smoother and just happen to have an opportunity that came up that was almost ideal. I work from home, so I thought, let's take advantage of this and let's kind of go out on a smooth end. And that's me in a nutshell. I'm a bird watcher. Yeah, that's the big thing about me. I'm a bird watcher, and I love music. I love karaoke. I love old music. Um, yeah, those are the biggest things about me, I guess.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, giving us a little backdrop of where you're from and what you like to do. And it's always interesting, like I said, to hear, you had both of your parents in the home. You come from a big family with a lot of siblings. Was there anything uniquely special or challenging with you being the oldest of the
Um,
siblings in the group that you had to encounter or deal with?
uh, Not really. There's like 4 years between all of us, so we all had our time where we were the kid. I didn't do a lot of babysitting, changing diapers, or anything like that. That wasn't it. So I had a good childhood. I think the thing that's most unique about being the oldest for me is I felt I had a responsibility to my siblings. We were brought up saying that we are supposed to always have each other's back, and I just took being a big sister, and I still take being a big sister very seriously. That's my responsibility to make sure things like you don't mess with my brothers and sisters. I don't care if it's your wife or your husband. I don't interfere, but I'm thinking, okay, now don't make me have to say something to somebody about one of my siblings. I've just always been like that, maybe to a fault. Not bossy, but always there. They know I got their back. That's a, I don't know. That's a big part of my identity. So yeah, I take that serious. But other than that, no, didn't have a lot of had did dishes, had childhood chores, didn't have to do laundry, didn't have to, like I said, babysit, didn't have to cook. I don't think I really started cooking until I left for college. I
Mm.
didn't do laundry really till I left for college. All that kind of stuff because my mom did it. She didn't want us touching her washer and dryer. So
Great, great. So, I mean, it's just good to know that, in that nucleus of a family, again, the role that you've taken, and it's even something that's transitioned even into adulthood, your protective nature. And I think it's reasonable to assume, I guess, that that close bond between all of you is such that when you are finding yourself going through difficult or challenging moments, you know that you have that immediate community of family that you can call on, and everybody's just kind of there for one another. So that's always beautiful to hear. So thank you for sharing that. But as we know, of course, when we're moving through that life journey, regardless of how it began, there always comes a point in time when every now and then, if you live long enough, you're going to be faced with a situation that might be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit heavy to the point that while you might have normally or traditionally been good at just working your way through difficult or challenging moments, sometimes you get hit with that situation where you just don't see a way out. You may be feeling like, you know what, I can't deal with this. I can't process this. This is a hard one for me. I don't know how to make it through this situation that I find myself in. So if you would, tell us about a time when you found yourself in that exact situation where you didn't see a way through, you didn't see a way out. We know obviously that you're here today, so we know that you were able to persevere through it, but maybe at that time you had doubts, you had questions, you were overwhelmed by it. What was that journey like for you, and what was the ultimate moment that gave you hope that, you know what, I can get through this and move forward?
Well, ironically, had it not been for that moment or that time in my life, I probably would never have met you. So thus, I would not be doing this segment. I had graduated from school, working a job, doing okay. Unique thing about my family is that my father and one of his brothers married sisters. So two sisters were married to two brothers, and so ultimately, um, me and my siblings were very close to the siblings of that family. Their oldest daughter was the closest thing I'll ever have or had to a big sister. And growing up, she taught me how to ride a bike. She taught me how to play jacks. Her and her brother taught me. When they went somewhere, I went with them. And that my first amusement park was with them, her and her siblings. My first out of the country, cross the bridge to Canada was with them. So we were very close to them. And she was always my quote unquote idol. Everything she did I thought was just wonderful. She's 5 years older than me. She went to Ball State. I went to Ball State. She was an AKA. I was an AKA. It was just that kind of thing. I just, and she always was very not judgmental. She was always my go-to person for advice as a youngster, even without asking. When I got ready to go to college, she took me and her sister out to lunch. She talked to us about, boys, about school. Just, she was that person. And she was just a very wonderful person. Anyway, long story short, in 2000 or 98 or 99, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And sadly, in 2000, she passed away. And I was there at the house with her when she passed, along with her siblings. And I helped her father pick out her casket. And I automatically went into what I do is take charge, help plan the funeral, help do this, help write the obituary, blah, blah. I never took that time out to like grieve, to really, just see what it was like. And it was a big loss, a huge loss for me. But I was trying to make sure her mom was okay, her siblings were okay, her dad was okay, things that I knew that she would do for me. So I just kept moving and went on back to work as normal. Had a gentleman friend. I won't say I was in a relationship, but we were in a relationship of sorts. We were very close, and uh, kind of kept moving through that. Well, that didn't work out. A few months later, that didn't work out. A few months later, my assistant at a job, we found her dead in her house. A second
Hmm.
person in less than a year. Da, da, da. And then all of a sudden, I just decided I'm quitting my job. No job, no plans, not looking for a job, no job. I was like, a relationship failed. She's gone. Life is too short. I just didn't even think. I just handed my resignation and quit my job. Or as opposed to having a plan and looking for a job, I came home, I pulled my blinds, and I literally just laid in my bed for months. I mean, I'd get up and eat, I'd do stuff, but it's just like for the first time ever in my life, and I don't know that I've ever felt that way again, I didn't want to fix anything. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted somebody to fix everything for me. Bills be darned. I went, I'd pay at them, rent be darned. My parents, of course, helped me because they knew I was kind of struggling, but I just couldn't move. I'd lay in bed. Thank God for cable. Thank God for snatch cable. Somebody hooked me up. I just laid there and I watched cable, and I talked to my friends, kind of talk at them, but not to them, which was not me. I just would not. I just wasn't functioning. If I changed clothes, fine. If I went out, fine. If not, I laid in the bed. I did. And I finally started thinking to myself, I can't. I don't want to do it. Can somebody please do this? I just couldn't. Everything I had nothing else in me to give. I was mad. kind of, I think, kind of mad at God, maybe just defeated. I never in my life, and as I look back on it, I never felt like that. I had a really, well, I have not had a really, really dear friend who called me one day and said, "Hey, get up, you going to the movie? I'm taking you to the movie." And again, ironically, this person happens to be visiting with me right now.
Hmm.
Um, you're going to the movie. And my dad came over, and I'm very close to my dad. He said, don't you want to keep your apartment? Because like he's thinking, I can't keep paying your rent. Don't you want to keep your part? There was no me. I wasn't even myself. I wasn't even when I talked and hung out with people. I wasn't me. I was just empty. And so, with the help of my dear friend, and it's like he just kind of knew. He just knew. And he's like, "You getting up? You going to the show? You doing this?" My dad talking to me, and then my sisters, quote unquote, having an intervention. You got to get up out this bed. So I was like, okay, maybe I do need to start looking for a job, a little part time job. IRS came along. I applied. I don't think about working for no government. I did it, and so I got that job, and so eventually, slowly, having some money because I had no money really, except for people would help me, and I didn't ask them to help me; they just did because I felt like this fool needs help. But I gradually just started shaking it off. I'm working, so I got to come out and be amongst people. So I'm doing some stuff, and then so gradually, slowly but surely, that took care of the material stuff, but the inside stuff, the how to be nice again, because I wasn't be, and I'm a nice person pretty much. How to be a nice, giving Vonda again. It had to come back because it was gone, and I just slowly being out amongst people, then being amongst my friends a little more, talking to and eventually, slowly, it started coming back. But that was probably the most, or one of the apps. No, it wasn't the most, but the most at that time difficult time where I couldn't fix it, I couldn't do it, and I didn't want to. That was the thing. I've had other times where I couldn't fix stuff, but I worked myself through it, and probably because of that, and not wanting to be that far in the dark again, has helped me to shake some things off and kind of keep moving. But that was a hard time for me.
Wow. Wow. Well, again, first off, I thank you for your transparency and sharing that story. It never, there's never anything that feels good about losing someone that you had a close, loving relationship with. Somebody in this case you looked up to in a great, great way, who facilitated a lot of the decisions that you would go on in life to make, and for that to happen, and then, like you said, your natural, and this happens to people a lot of times when they lose a loved one, but they happen to also be a person who's always that nurturer coming alongside other people, that type of individual. It's almost like you put your grief on pause to still make sure everybody else is okay. And in the midst of that, you haven't taken time to make sure that you're okay. You haven't taken a chance to, whether it's to cry, to scream out, to slam your fist on the desk or table or whatever, to get out whatever you're feeling inside. And so that's why it's so important that even when you are that person, and I talk about this all the time, when you're that person who is the traditional encourager, where does the encourager go when he or she needs to be encouraged, when he or she is down and out? Who do I go to then? And we almost feel bad about wanting to rely or depend upon somebody else to lift us up in our time of trauma, in our time of sadness and frustration, because we're like, well, I gotta maintain this image, this mantra, because everybody's counting on me to be the upbeat, go-to person. I can't let this, bring me down. But yet it was doing exactly that. And you eventually, because you're holding it all in, you eventually hit that rock bottom moment where you're just like, you just feel just helpless, and even in that helpless moment you talked about, I laid in the bed for months. I didn't want to talk to nobody, deal with nobody. I'm shutting off the world, when really what you needed at that time was to just say, you know what, even though I'm normally the one that's always helping, even I, every now and then, need somebody to help me. And thankfully, God, surrounded you with people who saw and appreciated the person that you normally are. And they nevertheless, even though you were trying to resist the help, they insisted on giving it to you anyway. And I love that because a lot of times people will do the opposite and they'll say, well, you need to just get over whatever that is. It's been this many months or this many years, and that's not what you needed. If anything, that would have probably turned you off even further and drew you even further back. Instead, people just saying, let's be there for you like you're there for other people. I'm taking you to the movie. I need you to get up. I'm gonna help bring you back to that high spirited, high energy, bubbly personality individual that you once were, allowing you to grieve at your own pace, but at the same time, not letting you sit still. So it was a dual purpose, but I wasn't rushing the process. I'm not telling you, well, you need to be grieved out by the end of the week. No, we just need to get you kickstarted instead of staying stuck in that moment, which is what you don't ever want to do, no matter what the challenge or the adversity is. You just can't stay stuck in that. You have to at some point say, I gotta at least start the healing process. I gotta move forward. And I even love the fact that you said that at one point in time I was angry. And specifically, you said I was angry at God. A lot of times people think that it's a bad thing to be angry at God. But sometimes you just feel like that, like you feel like you were let down. I can testify to you, even when I think about the passing of my own mom, who you, of course, had the pleasure of meeting. There was a point in time where I was mad at God. Like, I mean, I always knew the day would come. I knew it was going to happen at some point, but it was like I still felt like, you took the one, as you said, that one go-to person who I could talk to about anything. I could be open and vulnerable about anything. They would keep it real with me on everything. You took that from me. Now I'm like this orphan, because that's exactly what it felt like. I'm this orphan that's out here with, who do I go to now? Who's going to understand? Who's going to, it's just a difficult place to be in. But thankfully, I didn't allow myself to get stuck. After at first being stuck, I had to break out of that, and I'm glad the same was the case for you in regards to the person that you had that same similar bond with, and being able to have that breakthrough moment to getting back to the normal and again, bubbly person that you are, and didn't just say, like I said, just stay stuck in there. So in time, God, if we allow him to do so, he navigates and works out ways for the right people that we need to see and hear and be in our circle, that community that we talked about right, even in the very beginning, that community of family and friends who just really mean the best for you and truly want to see you get better. It's a blessing to have that, that circle around you to get you to that overcoming point where you start to see that light that, what, I can bounce back from this, even though it hurts, what I'm dealing with, what I'm going through. And as time goes on, it's one of those things that you'll never forget it. It's just that the way you process it becomes a little bit easier. When you reflect, even we were talking about earlier about, my mom, and reflecting back on some of those memories, I'll never get over her passing, but we can now talk about it and it doesn't instantly bring sadness to our hearts. We begin to reflect on the good times and the happy days and the funny moments and things like that, and the lessons that were learned and things like that. We can appreciate the time spent versus getting locked in on the loss of the individual not physically being present around us anymore. And I'm sure even with your friend, same thing. Things that she shared, things that she poured into you, you're taking that and probably applying it even to this day. And you can appreciate that, and without it, just tearing you up inside every time you think about it, even though you may still miss that person's physical presence and wish you just had one more chance to just say, hey, what's going on, or hear their voice. They still are within you, just always speaking to you, and you feel like their presence is always around you. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a very powerful story, and a lot of people who grieve and who are hurting and holding it in, if anybody has an opportunity to listen to this episode and you're grieving and you haven't taken the time to purge, to just release, please, I encourage you to do that, because it's almost like the equivalent of holding poison inside of you. You have a right. You have a right to cry. You have a right to let that out. Don't be ashamed of that. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're, undeserving of that. You get a chance that you're still human, again, even if you're normally that encourager and that uplifter and all of that, everybody has their stormy moments. So, embrace that and let it out. Just know that you don't have to grieve alone, that there is a higher power. There's a God that loves you and understands what you're feeling and is willing to not only be there in his way, but to surround you and connect you with people who can come alongside you and do the same in that same light. So again, thank you for sharing that. So Vonda, I am curious to know when you do find yourself facing challenging moments, whether it's something big as what we just talked about, or even if it's just something minor. You know, we know that it's just the day to day. Anytime we wake up on any given day, sometimes there's just something that can be before us that's nagging, that's annoying, that we just have to deal with. I'm curious to know, what is your process that you like to do, that you like to follow, that helps you to deal with challenging moments. Again, no matter what magnitude of level it is, what works for you in being able to process where you kind of have a level head, you can face that thing head on and just kind of work your way through it to get to the end result of overcoming that particular challenge for the day.
Well, I've learned to take me time, to take the time to for me to figure out what to, not maybe not exactly what to do, but how to do it or how I want to move forward. So take time to first of all breathe, take time to allow myself to, depending on what it is, cry or scream, shout, curse. Time to get myself to get it out or to just kind of normalize it. This is what it is. Also to know how to learn how to lean. I'm not one who likes to ask people for stuff or lean, but I've learned to lean on my friends, on my family, depending on who it is. Learning how, and when I say lean, not like, oh, you take the wheel, but learning how to, hey, say, look, I ain't good, instead of like, oh, everything's okay, but to say, I'm not good, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or maybe not those exact words, or I'm not okay, or to let people, I had a bad habit of not allowing people to know that I'm not good, either with them asking or telling or whatever. I'm like, okay, I got it. Don't worry about it. But to allowing them to pour into me, I kind of kept the holes covered up. I'd pour, but I wouldn't suck up. So
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to use a straw, if you will. And learn how to, my faith. And I don't want to get overly whatever, but just to learn how to, okay, you can talk to God. It ain't got to be no deep this talk to God. What is prayer? They use the acronym ACTS, learn to talk to this conversation like this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm God, you know what, I done messed up, or God, I don't know what to do. And then listen.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen, just feel. You'll be directed if you just do that. Since then, I suffered the greatest loss. That my brother passed 3 years ago. I never thought, he's 9 years young. He was 9 years younger than me. You never think, and it hits different as a sibling. You think one day I'm gonna lose a parent. You never think I'm gonna lose this kid that we hung out, we threw snow, we whatever, that used to come and, can I sleep in your bed, that came to visit me on Little Ken weekend. I never thought, even when we were at the hospital, they said he's critical and we're gonna move him to this hospital. In my head, and I'm knowing how serious, pneumonia, blood clots, so forth are. I never in my head thought he was going to pass. And again, I'm right there, and we were with him, and which we wouldn't have been anyplace else. But I lost my brother, and that was the absolute worst thing I ever faced in my life. But this time, I don't know, it was 19 years later, but this time I didn't find myself in that bed not knowing how I would do. Yes, I did my usual Vonda and I took over and we got to do this. And I didn't want my parents to have to worry about a lot of that stuff or his young daughters. So my sisters and I just kind of made sure everything. And for me, it was like a labor of love. Everything had to be just right. The right songs, the right this, the timing, just everything had to be right. But that was part of it, part of the, I won't say healing, but that was just part of it. It wasn't like before because I was taking my time as I went along. So if I wanted to stop and cry in between planning and writing, I'm going to stop and cry. If I wanted to vent, because my sister and I had to kind of take a little break from each other because but we were okay. We came back together. I guess the whole thing I'm saying is that through that first experience that taught me, give yourself what you need. You've got to give yourself what you need or know how to ask for it or let people give you what you need. And so that's kind of what I do, even if it's not a grieving thing. I know I'm kind of stuck on the grief, but even when I'm grieving right now. I just ended a 13-year relationship and I got to grieve my way through that as well. I ended it. So, but still it's a grieving process. And I think just with that, you got to allow yourself to feel. You got to recognize you're human. You got to
Mm-hmm.
allow yourself to feel. You got to know. how to direct your feelings. So I guess the biggest thing that I've learned or that I do is figure out what is going to help for me to heal, for me to be okay, so that I can continue helping other people or be whatever. So, you know, let God pour into me, let people pour into me, do my feel good things. I listen to my music, whatever it is. I got a playlist right now I call The End because it was the end of the relationship. But just do the things that's going to keep Vonda whole or make
Mm-hmm.
Vonda whole so that I can go on and be a whole member of society and not just shut down and not be able to function. Things to keep me going. I may kind of slow down, kind of hit you a little hard, but be able to bounce back and not lay there because honestly, I might still be laying there had it not been for, the people that you gonna pay attention to me. You gonna know that I'm here to help you. So now I just try to think about that. And okay, Bonnie, you can't just this can't be the end all be all because still life goes on. So learn how to constructively make myself whole. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
Oh, absolutely it did. Like you said, I allowed myself to feel. That was, as we go back to the initial story, you didn't allow yourself to feel at first, and it took years later before you would find what you thought was the most devastating death. You'd hit one that was the top of the list,
oh,
but now you were actually prepared, not knowing that what took place nearly 2 decades ago was going to prepare you for this moment. Even as an older sibling, you're siblings are going to pass, but you're not thinking the youngest of the siblings would
no,
be the
it's supposed to
first.
be me
You
because
think it's
I'm the
supposed to be me because
oldest.
I'm the oldest. I'm not even supposed to ever see this happen.
I'm not supposed to see none of this
And now
happen.
you're making me see it happen, and it's hitting, like you said, it hits differently the closer the connection. This is my sibling, and but I was able, even though I was hurt, even though I was saddened, even though I felt a certain kind of way, I allowed myself to do that, and I did so unapologetically. It wasn't, I didn't feel like I was,
Unapologetically,
yeah, it was like
exactly.
I didn't have to ask anybody for permission to feel like,
It's okay for me not to feel good. It's okay for me
yeah.
to cry. It's okay for me to be mad. Before it wasn't okay because I had to fix and do. But
Mm-hmm.
this time I was like, I don't care. It's okay for me not to do that. I can fuss at my sister. We can get mad because daggone it, I am mad. And
Mm-hmm.
was I angry at God this time? It wasn't like I was jumping for joy. I'm just not that. But it wasn't like the why. I try to say why not. Not with him so much because it's still a little soft, but the why not me? Why should I not have to deal with whatever? Why can I not? I have to. I have to. I don't have time to stop and say why. I had to keep myself because I truly, really, really probably would have sunk and not just not came back. And I can't do that. I got
Mm-hmm.
other stuff to do.
Absolutely. And then I also like the fact that a lot of the things that you mentioned that kind of helps you process challenging and difficult times is that these are not all things that you wait until the moment is before you to start doing. Like, I have a list of music that I listen to. I have, there's certain things that I do that are just a part of my normal day to day life that prepares you for the unannounced, unexpected storms because I'm already creating a mode of peace about myself. When I do get hit with that blow, I can withstand the hit because of what even something as simple as, we talked about earlier, I love to bird watch. That's got to be peaceful.
Oh,
That's got to be
it's
calming,
wonderful. It's wonderful.
you know, I mean,
It really, really is.
so even doing things like that, those are, to me, those are acts of self-care that you're practicing on a day to day so that when it's one of those days, it doesn't just throw you totally into chaos and confusion and shut you down like what might have happened, say, a long time back, when you didn't quite do these things. You've matured enough and you've learned to love yourself enough to, again, give yourself permission to release, to let it out, to feel and be okay with that, no matter what other people might think that you should be or shouldn't be doing.
Give
No,
yourself permission to
yeah,
get ugly. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Whether it's
yeah.
ugly
The
inside
ugly
or ugly
cry,
in
the
plain
ugly,
front,
the
ugly
all of
cry,
that.
the ugly feelings, the ugly words. You give yourself time to be ugly and know that there are people that you're beautiful whether you're ugly or not. If that makes sense,
That part.
my friend that's here. I don't care. You get it. You get it. But know that it's okay to lean on him. That
Hmm.
he's my friend. He loves me. Accept that love. I think I've had a difficult time throughout my life accepting that love. Although that's what I want love, but accepting that, hey, this person loves you, cares about you. They don't care. They'll take you ugly, cute, whatever, happy,
Right.
sad. And it's okay to lean on them. It's okay to be there. You don't have to always be that shoulder. Take a shoulder. Let somebody give you a shoulder. And I think
Love
that's
that.
always been kind of difficult for me. So
That's and again, love that and love the transparency. Hey, it's been difficult, but I'm learning to do better with that.
I'm
You know,
learning.
I'm learning, and I
Put an
keep on.
ing on
Yeah,
that.
I'm learning. Hey, we all are. We've never. We don't. We rarely have fully arrived at any one particular thing. That's what we shouldn't. I mean, growth is something we want to continue to do all the way to the end. We don't. If we ever get to the point where I don't think I need to know anymore, I got it all figured out. That's probably a time for us to reflect and say,
Yeah.
wait a minute now, you sure you got it all on everything? You don't need no help no more. That's when we start thinking we Superman, Superwoman. We can do it all by ourselves, and then that's when God reminds us that no. Let me.
I
Do I
got
need to
this.
let
You
you?
don't
Do I
have it.
need to
I
let
got
something blow up? To remind you that you ain't
it.
that you can't handle this all by yourself like you think you. I mean, I appreciate your confidence, but it's starting to drift off into a little bit of arrogance. A little
Exactly.
cockiness. You're starting to
Exactly.
feel yourself a little too much. There's only one God in the room, and
Right.
it's not you. So, awesome sharing of that. So, Vonda, if you had a chance, as you reflect over your life and the ups and downs and everything in between, if you had an opportunity to speak to the younger Vonda, the Vonda who may have not had things figured out and navigating the way that you do today, if you had a chance to share with her some words of wisdom, or perhaps share with somebody that might be listening right now, that they are in that space that you used to be in, not leaning into help, not giving yourself permission to release and let loose, not just knowing how to receive just as you give and pour into other people. That encourager who doesn't know how to be encouraged. What would you say to that younger Vonda, or somebody that was like her? What would be those words of wisdom that you?
It's funny. I have written younger Vonda and I've talked to younger Vonda and I've said, oh, if I were telling my nieces, but just for anybody who might be thinking you're not perfect. And I think maybe older child syndrome, maybe we feel that we have to be perfect. You're not perfect. And that's okay. You don't have to be. You can be scarred and flawed and still be okay. You can make mistakes and still be okay. You can ask for help and still be okay. You can not ask for help and let people just help you, pour into you, and be okay. So though I mean I know I said a whole bunch of okays, but that's it. You're okay. You don't have to beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. The world beats us up enough. Life beats some of the world life. You are okay. I mean, don't just settle for just being whatever. But you're okay. You don't have to be perfect. I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I would say to younger Vonda. You don't have to be perfect. It's okay. Nobody's looking for you to be perfect. Do your best. Be your best. Be a good person, but you don't have to be perfect. I think, yeah, that would be, and that's some new advice to young Vonda. I've given her some other advice, but you don't have to be perfect. It's
Hmm.
That's all right. That's all right.
I
You are
love that.
perfectly you anyway. You don't. It's okay. It's okay. It is okay. Three words. It is okay.
Hmm.
You don't have to be perfect.
Yeah. And again, I love that. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not be okay.
Yes, yes, it's that's all right.
Yeah, it's
You know,
okay to not be
I
okay.
my brother passed. I did grief. First thing I did is sign up for some grief therapy. Okay, I'm not gonna sit and think I can solve this and I'm gonna be okay or I'm gonna lay here in this bit. I'm getting some grief therapy whether I feel like I'm feeling bad or not. I'm going through grief therapy at least so I can talk about it with somebody. I talk about it with my friends. Say to them, "Hey, y'all, I am." I mean, I said it to them. I ain't good. I'm telling y'all now, I am not good. Just say it. Whereas opposed to, oh girl, I'm okay. I'm fine. I got it. Yeah. Okay, how we gonna do so and
Hmm.
so? No, I'm not good, y'all. I'm just gonna say it to y'all right now. I'm not good. This breakup, I'm not good, y'all. I'm okay. I'm making it, but I need to get this out. I'm not good. I'm mad. I am
Hmm.
mad. I'm
Right.
happy. I'm mad. I'm glad all in one. But just allow yourself that.
Exactly, exactly. Love that. I think that those are excellent words of wisdom to offer. So I greatly appreciate that. So Vonda, before I let you go, I do want to, of course, give you an opportunity to share anything that might be going on with you right now that we can celebrate, acknowledge, love on you about, affirm you for. This is that part of the show that we want to do just that to end it on a high note. And
On a high
so
note.
if you got anything going on that we can, again, that we want to be in a part of the good news that you got, or upcoming adventures or exciting things, please do.
You know
Well,
what?
we
I
know
got a
well,
birthday tomorrow. You
well
know
we
what? I
know
got a
birthday. I
birthday
was gonna say
tomorrow.
birthday tomorrow. That's
Birthday
definitely
tomorrow.
there. You go, right there. That's a good
And
start.
that I'm on this side. I'm on this side. So that's always to be celebrated. But usually around my birthday every year. I mean, I do it all the time, and I journal and I write poetry. Oh, I do that too. I forgot to tell you that. I always write something. I usually do it on Facebook, like my last year, or here's what I'm feeling in this year, so and so. I ain't telling y'all the number, but here's how I feel in this year. Da, 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 da. And I got some things I may or may not share, but I guess celebrate me. It's another year. I'm going forward with whatever this new year is bringing. It's going to be a little different for me. But I'm moving forward. Celebrate that I'm still figuring it out. I'm not mopey dopey. I'm just like, hey, let's bring it on. Let's do this. So just I just want to celebrate life. And I don't,
Hmm.
maybe we don't say that enough. I don't say it enough. Just celebrate me just cause I'm here. That's what I want. I don't know. I'm not one who brings a lot of attention to myself. I'm usually pouring it on other people. Just celebrate me. I don't have any new ventures going on. To me, every day, if I see a new bird, I'm happy. And that just has just been now, but that things I celebrate. So just celebrate me because I'm here, and whatever I may or may not do in the next year, hey, just be happy about it.
I love that. And again, we want to obviously celebrate. Your another trip around the sun is kicking in tomorrow.
Yes.
So we're thankful for that. Anytime you get a chance to celebrate a new year, that's something to be thankful for. And much blessings to you on a very wonderful, exciting, happy, joyous day. And then I just love your whole perspective about, what, I'm just celebrating just life.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you it's clear that you understand that no next day is promised to us,
That's
and
for
so
sure.
I'm just living it for what it's given me, and I'm trying to be the best version of myself within the perspective of it, and I'm thinking ahead. You're already planning, like you talked about what you'd usually bring up about what's happened this past year and what you're looking forward to. So you already have an expectancy that I'm opening myself up to let God navigate me wherever that is, to be a better version of me, to be able to pour into other people in maybe in a different and unique and special kind of way that I just when I thought I had all the ways out there. You're giving me another unique opportunity to do just that. Maybe it's to somebody that I've never had a chance to connect with in that fashion. So who knows? But nevertheless, you're just thankful for life and the
Mhm.
precious gift that it is, and understanding again from the stories that we talked about that just like as life is given, life can be taken away. And so keeping that in mind and keeping that positive perspective about it all and understanding the value and the treasure in it all, is really critical for us to embrace that and have a true appreciation for it. So I tremendously thank you for sharing that, because there's just so much truth into it, and we really need to take the moment and just let it sink in. I guess that's the best way for me to say that. Just let it all sink in, because it's a valuable thing to have. So awesome stuff, Vonda. It has been a pleasure
Yes.
having you on the show, catching up with you. It's been a while. Like I said, for our listeners, I mean, we're talking about 20 plus years of friendship, and some great times, some great laughs, a few deep conversations in between time,
Yes. Yes.
my mom always spoke very highly of you, and some of your personal moments that you two have had together and things of that nature. So it's always awesome to be able to connect and see you doing well and looking good, and
Thank you, sir.
and reminding everybody how that black don't crack, all that good stuff. So
I'm gonna be
you know
80, y'all. No, I'm lying.
so that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, for my listeners, of course, if you have enjoyed the content today, the conversations that we're having, please, I encourage you to subscribe, to share, to like, to comment. Because again, here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is what it's all about. We want to encourage, we want to uplift, we want to empower, we want to inspire, we want to be as authentic and keeping it real as we possibly can, and in our transparency and sharing our stories, hoping and praying that somebody is going to be checking us out and you needed to hear the stories that you heard in this particular moment in time, and that you were blessed by it. And that you will be able to instantly apply it to your respective lives and situations to be a better version of you, as well as perhaps being a blessing to somebody else. So just know that you don't have to fight this fight of life alone and the valley experiences that come along with it. There is a God that loves you, that wants you to lean into him. Just to give yourself permission to let it out. He wants that. So then that way he can show you why he's the God that he is, and how he can just change what seems to be an impossible situation, those moments that you feel like there's no way out. He can make that way out, and just does it in a miraculous and wonderful way that people are just going to be in awe. You're not going to be able to put it into the proper context of words, how he moves and navigates those waters for you. So please do keep that in mind. And here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, please understand that this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and where your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and I thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, keep fighting that good fight. Keep standing tall, standing firm, even in the midst of the storms, knowing and trusting and believing that there's a God that loves you and he will carry you through no matter what the challenge might be there before you. You don't have to stay stuck. It's not the end of your story. There's so much purpose and so much value, even in those storms that you're going through. If he's allowed it to come your way, it's really a setup for something great and wonderful to come forth in your life. You just got to withstand it and know who to lean into, and just again, just persevere. And I promise you, I'm not telling you something that I heard. I'm telling you something that I know, something that Vonda knows. You'll be okay. You'll make it through. And it's okay to have those days when you're not okay, but that's not going to be the story always. And you'll be a testament and a blessing to other people. So until next time, take care of yourselves.